You know the drill. You're trying to log into an account, maybe just read an article, and bam, everything stops. The website has a simple and, let's be honest, sometimes super frustrating demand.
Right. This sentence. It feels like a roadblock, an annoyance. But what if we looked at it differently? What if we treated it like the first clue in a digital detective story? A story about who and what is really out there using the internet with us.
And that's really the heart of the mystery, isn't it? Why does the internet constantly have to poke us and ask, hey, are you a real person? Well, the answer is a lot more complex, and frankly, a lot more fascinating than you might think.
So, to figure this out, we first have to understand why this digital gatekeeper even exists. And it all kicks off with a pretty surprising fact about the web.
Yeah, that's right. When you're browsing, you are far from alone. A huge chunk of the activity happening online isn't generated by people at all. It's the work of automated programs, or bots. So just how much are we talking about here?
Get this, almost half, 47.4% of all internet traffic, just let that sink in for a second. Nearly half the traffic buzzing around the web is non-human, and that is why we need a gatekeeper. But are all of these bots a problem? Not at all, actually. There are plenty of good bots. Think about the crawlers that Google uses to index the entire internet so you can search it, or tools that check if a website is working properly. But these tests, they exist because of the bad bots, the ones built to blast out spam, scrape your personal data, or just hammer away at login pages trying to break into your accounts. So we need a way to let the good guys in and slam the door on the bad guys. Which brings us to the test itself. How in the world does a website tell the difference between you and a piece of code? Well, it's been a constant arms race. It all started back in the early 2000s with those impossible-to-read, wavy text puzzles. You remember those. But as computers got better at reading them, the tests had to evolve. That's when we started getting image recognition. Click on all the traffic lights. Then, around 2014, things got weirdly simple with that little "I'm not a robot" checkbox. And today, a lot of this happens completely invisibly, just by analyzing the way you move your mouse. It's a never-ending cat-and-mouse game. And all of these tests, every single one, goes by a name you've seen a million times, CAPTCHA. But what you might not know is that it's actually an acronym. It stands for Completely Automated Public Turing Test to tell computers and humans apart. It's all right there in the name. It's a test to separate us from them. The logic behind every CAPTCHA is actually, well, kind of beautiful in its simplicity. Step 1. Come up with a puzzle that's almost a joke for a person to solve, like reading some weird text or pointing out a bus in a photo. Step 2. Make sure that same exact puzzle is, or at least was, ridiculously hard for a computer to figure out. That's it. That's the secret sauce. But the story definitely doesn't end there. Because as computers get smarter and smarter, this whole system is facing a new and maybe even existential challenge. Let's take a look at the very uncertain future of proving we're human. Today's methods are all about making tough choices. You've got the image puzzles we all know and, well, that we know. They're easy enough to understand, sure, but they can be super frustrating and a massive problem for anyone with accessibility needs. Then there's the simple checkbox. It feels fast, but it only works because it's analyzing a bunch of your data in the background. And the totally invisible methods? They're seamless. You don't even notice them. But that's because they're collecting even more data, raising some pretty serious privacy questions. And here it is, the biggest challenge of all. The rise of really sophisticated AI is basically breaking the entire system. Modern AI can now solve those visual puzzles sometimes faster and more accurately than we can. It can be trained to wiggle a mouse around in a way that looks perfectly human. It is completely blurring that fundamental line between person and program that these tests were built on. The very thing designed to stop machines is now being beaten by them. So that leaves us with this one kind of profound final question. For 2 decades, the way we've proven we're human online is by doing things that computers couldn't. But if AI cannot pass the human test, what does that even mean? How will we prove we're real? What does identity look like when a machine can perfectly pass for a person? The digital gatekeeper is facing its toughest opponent yet, and whatever the answer is, it's going to redefine our entire relationship with technology.